Hi, I'm Patty Gonzalez. We're here at CycloBia to You, the first one of the year on East Morrison Road, and I am going to talk to a few of the folks who make this wonderful event happen. Ciclovia is a Spanish term that means cycleway, either a permanent bike path or the closing of certain streets to cars for cyclists and pedestrians. Started in Colombia in 1976, the event has been replicated here in Brownsville. We're here with Art Rodriguez, Director of Public Health for the City of Brownsville, to talk about CycloBia. Now, Art, we know what cyclovias are. What is a CycloBia?
Well, a CycloBia comes from the original Bogota, Colombia. They started having up cyclovias with a V many years ago, and it quickly turned into a once-a-week event where the streets are closed and the public comes out to mostly bike ride, but they can bike ride, they can walk, they can just have a good time. It's a family-oriented event in Bogota, Colombia. We've replicated CycloBia with a B, and the intent is to replicate families getting out, having fun. We're actually promoting physical activity, but we're doing it in a style that is fun, and we promote the businesses in the area to stimulate our economy.
And so this started here in Brownsville about 2012, and at times we have 10,000, 15,000 people come out.
And I think the fact that many people come out means that people are enjoying the event. The fact that we've had requests to have them on Friday nights as CycloBia nights, and now as CycloBia to You out to the different neighborhoods, really means that people want it in their neighborhoods, people want it everywhere. So it leads us to believe people just want to enjoy the outdoors, and families want to spend some quality time together, and these events are free of charge.
Now let's talk a little bit about CycloBia to You. Now we've seen past CycloBias downtown, which are a lot of fun, but this time, this is the first one we've actually come out and moved the route. Tell us about how that came about.
Well, we've had the route downtown, and they've been very popular, but we also wanted to take the route out to different neighborhoods because we knew that in certain parts of the city it was just critical to do outreach, especially to the youth and the old style that we grew up riding bikes in our youth. So we're trying to bring some of that back. We're moving towards a more bike-friendly city, and we're trying to prove it by bringing CycloBia to You out to different sections of the city. As we progress the programs, the goal is to have people use bicycles as a form of multimodal. But not only that, but also family fun and recreational. So we're fusing many of what we want to do with bicycling into a family fun event so that people can experience the joys of bike riding.
And coming from Austin, I've seen bicycles used as a mode of transportation, as you just mentioned, and we're seeing more and more of that here. Tell us a little bit about the route and how you can ride your bike. Of course, you can walk it, you can skate it, you can all that. But tell us a little bit about this year's route.
Well, this year's route is special because it's on Morrison Road. It's a fairly new road, and I think some of our North Brownsville citizens will get to enjoy it because up to now they've only enjoyed it from the perspective of a vehicle ride. They get to enjoy now and pick up on different stores that are along here that they had never seen before. Once you start bike riding, you start to see a different view of the street and the businesses that are available. You start to enjoy the street in a way that you maybe had not enjoyed it. There's some really nice sidewalks on Morrison Road, and I think after this people will come out and enjoy the sidewalks more than they had before. So it opens it up so that people can start to use what the city has already gone out and done and get the max use out of it.
And let's talk a little bit more about, it's almost a rediscovering of your neighborhood, so to speak, because while we think closing streets might mean less traffic for the businesses, it actually increases the business. People get to know the business, they might visit, and they'll remember it.
So one of the great things about this event is the University of Texas is working with us. So before the event, they went out and surveyed some people, and after the event, they're going to go back and survey some people to answer that exact question. How did CycloBia to You affect people's perspective of what this area was before and then after the event? I agree you can squeeze many more people into the same parking space as a car, and business owners would be happy to be able to squeeze 10 bikes into the space of a one parking spot to be able to get 10 customers into their building.
And there was another survey done where 78% of attendees rated CycloBia a 5 out of a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the most fun. Is that what you're seeing a lot of?
You know, that's a good figure to follow, because we try and make CycloBia fun. And as long as people keep rating CycloBias high up there as they're having fun and they're enjoying it, we know that it's going to continue to grow. And it keeps us in check. It lets us know that the activities that we're putting together are right along with what the citizens want to see.
And tell us a little bit about, go back to your first CycloBia and where we are now, 3 years later, and many more people coming out and enjoying it. What has changed over the last couple of years?
I think what's changed is the organizers. We have a much higher confidence level. So we understand that these events work. We understand that there's many other communities in the valley that are trying to replicate it. And so far, there's even more communities around Texas that have put CycloBias on, but not as many as we have. And we've done this in a very short time frame. So I think, first of all, you got to thank the citizens of Brownsville, because they're the ones that made this possible. Number two, the city employees and city staff that work hard, the university folks that help us partner to get the data to show that this is changing. And long term, we hope to be able to see Brownsville as a more physically active city.
And that's the thing, isn't this sort of sneaking exercise into an outdoor event where we're thinking it's family fun, some time to spend together? Isn't that a kind of sneaky thing the city is doing?
Well, yes, it is. But we're actually trying to get people away from the TV. So as you're watching this, you should be thinking, as soon as this interview is over, let me go out and enjoy the street. So yes, we're trying to, it's no secret, we're trying to get people to be more physically active. But we're trying to find ways that it's fun, family, for everyone, even for your pet.
So physical activity doesn't have to feel like work, basically.
Right. As long as your body's moving, it's physically active, and that's what we're after. We're not asking everyone to become Olympic caliber athletes. We're just asking people to get up, get out, and have fun.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about that fun and the reclovias. How do those work, and who is putting them on?
Reclovias are really exciting for us because that is a pulse of the different styles. Each reclovia has a theme, and each reclovia has a sponsor.
And we should say a reclovia is a little stop along the bike path.
Yes. So if you get tired of bicycling and you want to get down and enjoy a different type of activity, the reclovias, every reclovia is different because every reclovia will be sponsored by a different organization. And that organization has total freedom to decide what they're going to do at that reclovia. So the goal of the reclovia is to push different types of activities. Some of them may be highlighting karate, some of them may be highlighting pulls and push contest, rock climbing. So each sponsor gets to come out and experiment with reclovia, and usually at the end of the day we come back and see which one was the most popular. I think you'll see that anything that engages kids and it's kids play are the most popular in any form, whether it's direct play or the slides. HEB has been one of our big sponsors, and they've brought out some of our slides. So they've been some of the more popular activities that we've had at reclovias.
And so the CycloBia to you, going back to that and bringing this to the neighborhood where people can actually just bike from their homes to the event, how are you going to evaluate whether this was a successful CycloBia?
So good question. So we've been pushing that CycloBia starts at home. So we've been pushing for people not to drive to the event, to bike to the event. And that's one of the CycloBia to you goals. The other goal is after the event is over, and while the event is going on actually, we have students, research students and nursing students who are here with us today, and they're actually doing their intern hours. And part of their intern hours is they're going up to people and doing surveys and asking people what they're learning about CycloBia and vice versa, what we could be doing better. So every event is not only family and fun, but we're learning from them as we go.
Tell me a couple of the things that you've learned from the first CycloBia to today.
We can't control the weather, but we're going to do the best that we can so that the events are always held at times when people can come out. We know already that people want to enjoy the outdoors. I think we've always known that because Brownsville's a beautiful green city with resacas and and year-round weather. So we're just trying to maximize that so that it becomes an event where the neighbor can come and meet their neighbor and have a good time again.
Let's go behind the scenes a little bit. How many volunteers does it take to put one of these events on?
It takes hundreds of volunteers. So behind the curtain, there's actually a lot of production staff. There's a lot of volunteers. There's a lot of organizations, the school district, the University of Texas, the city of Brownsville being a major sponsor. And then we have private sponsorships also and businesses that see the value in having this event. And the sponsorships level with every CycloBia just continues to steadily grow. And we hear a lot, especially after event, with new businesses wanting to engage in CycloBia.
And so how does a business engage with CycloBia?
So they can contact our health department, the wellness division, and they can plan on coming to our planning meetings, and that's all it takes, a phone call.
Now, the city went out, your department in particular, the health department, went out and asked for donations of bicycles so that, because you don't have to have a bicycle to come to the event, you can rent one.
Good point. So about a year ago, we were challenged with not being able to get the bikes that we would get from Bike Texas because that had been a grant. And we call out on social media, and I always give special kudos to the public because they're the ones that make this happen. We call out on social media, and wouldn't you know it, we got over 125 bikes donated. And the bikes that you see people riding today are part of that fusion of the community coming together and donating 125 bikes, mostly by businesses, the city, and various entities, so that we can rent these out at no charge. And I think when you have the community grassroots support pushing the event, that's what drives this.
And so how many bicycles in your fleet?
We roll out about 80 at every event, but we have about 125 in total in reserve.
And we have those bikes that are for all sizes and all age groups. So from the smallest tricycle to the
the only thing we don't yet have, so if any sponsorship, is we're looking for the dual ride bikes with a basket in front for our age 8 to 80 individuals that can't ride the regular bicycles, but we're working our way towards that.
Well, great, Art. Let's go take a look down the route and see what kind of fun is in store for us.
Thank you.
Mayor Tony Martinez is here with us. Mayor, thank you for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure, and the weather couldn't be better. I mean, it's not sunny and it's not rainy, but it's nice and cloudy and a good day for a ride.
It's a nice breeze. Now you rode your bike all the way from your house here.
I did. Bicycling is something that I've done for a long time, and I enjoy it because you can go as fast or as slow as you want. So at my age, you go pretty slow.
And you took the which trail?
I took the trail that hooks up at Linear Park and followed it all the way to East Morrison. And so it's so nice because a lot of the places have, two resakas on either side. Now we probably need a few more trees, but other than that, it's a great place to ride.
Now let's go back in time a little bit with the first CycloBia. Was this something that you said, this is a good idea?
Well, I happened to have gone with the Economic Development Group to Bogota, and they invited me to go to a CycloBia in Bogota while I was there on a trade mission. And the inspiration that I got from it was everybody's having a good time, and it's a good time to say, time out, it's just us. There no traffic. Everything around goes around us, but it doesn't go into the place that we're at. And they closed down all the streets in Bogota. So it was a fun time for them, so I figured it'd be a fun time for us.
Yeah, I remember being in Guatemala and wondering, why are there no cars, and not realizing that I was at a CycloBia.
It's a nice feeling that you have nobody that you have to be careful for. You have young little ones, 1-year-olds, you got strollers, you got bicycles, you got toddlers, you got everything. And so it's and on the way here there was just a bunch of folks on the trail. So I think that speaks volumes to what the Brownsville people like to do, and that is get together and do things like this.
And I guess we took it for granted growing up. You and I rode bikes in our neighborhood, so it was something that we were used to, and families can't do that anymore.
Well, it comes with the advent of time. When you have so many roads and so many cars, it's just the urbanization of any society. And after World War II, it became the thing to do, is to get expressways and roadways and cars and more cars and more cars. And now we're understanding that perhaps maybe we could kind of tone that down a little bit.
Now, tell me, when you ride your bike, is this an opportunity for you to meditate, so to speak? I mean, you got a lot on your plate.
Well, I do. I like the solitude that comes with the ability to, even though we're here with a lot of folks, but as you're coming down the trail, it gives you a chance to look at nature. It gives you a chance to put things in perspective. And I've always been an outdoors person, not so much as a hunter or things like that, but I've been a runner most of my life until it became a little more difficult for my knees.
Mm-hmm. So this is, I guess, allows an opportunity for you to even forget that you're exercising.
Well, and I don't think that I ever looked at running or riding a bicycle as exercise, more so as an entertainment for me. I'll be honest with you. But because we grew up with it, and my children my son came riding with me, and my grandson and my other son are coming over here in a little bit. So it's a family affair.
Great. Well, we'll let you get to that family, and thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, and Patty, I think you need to get well.
Definitely. We'll be right back after we take a break. We're back after taking a walk down the route here at CycloBia 2U, and with me now is Commissioner Rose Gowan, MD. Commissioner, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the beginning of CycloBia here in Brownsville. You went to Bogota, saw what it was all about. Why did you think it would work here?
Well, I think what we saw initially was that it was an evidence-based tool that had worked in many communities, including Bogota and Guadalajara and others, to get people to be active. And so we have always worked on using evidence-based strategy. And CycloVia was one initiative that wouldn't cost a lot of money. It was very simple. We didn't have to build a huge stadium or anything, simply closing off a street. And we felt that people would enjoy it.
And people have enjoyed it. I think it was 97% of attendees support this particular type of event, and we're seeing that 78% had rated CycloBia a 5 on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of fun. So what do you think is making it so successful? Because there's a lot of volunteers that have to put this together. But what is it about CycloBia in particular that you think people like?
Well, I think freedom is one word that comes to my mind. If you remember back to when you were a child and you first learned to ride a bike and got those training wheels off, the first thing you felt was freedom and independence, and really it did a great deal for your self-esteem that you could do it. So I think when you go years or months or whatever without being on a bicycle, you forget that feeling. And so as an adult or a child, you get on a bicycle and you remember all over again, you know what, this was fun. And then you don't have the fear of having to navigate traffic. So instead of thinking, oh, I'm not going to go because I don't want my child to get hit, or I don't want to get hit, or I'm not sure where the route goes, this is very simple. It's simply the whole way is free and safe.
And this is also a good way to incorporate exercise into your weekend routine, but actually not realizing that you're doing so.
Well, anything that's fun is going to be much more sustainable. If I'm going to do exercise and it's really hard and it's not really fun, I'm not probably going to do it again, or at least very often. So it's a way to incorporate the bike trails that we have and get people to try them and realize, you know what, that was fun, and best of all, it was free. So would you rather stay home in the dark and watch TV all day, or would you rather go do something that's fun and not spend any money while you're doing it?
And we talked a little bit about earlier that it's also a way to visit with your neighbor. We spend so much time on electronic devices that we don't actually talk to one another any longer, and this is a really good way to...
Especially for families. You know, a lot of times your kids are busy, you're busy, and you even lose time, lose the ability to sit down for a meal together. So it gives you a time to talk to your kids and talk to your neighbors and look around. The things that you see and you smell and you feel when you get out of the car are so much richer and so different than on a bike or on foot, that it's a different experience, and one that should be treasured.
And it's not just kids, it is also with seniors.
Yes, it's important that we remain active our entire life. Not just in terms of health, but in terms of flexibility, so that we don't injure ourselves when we get older, in terms of mental stability and wellness and lower rates of depression, and improving all of those things that make us vibrant as long as we can, to age in place and to age well.
And Brownsville just became an age-friendly city. Tell us, what does that mean?
Well, an age-friendly city is an initiative by the the AARP, and they want folks to be able to remain active and reimagine life in their later years, in addition to when you're in your 30s and 20s and 40s, so that you don't stop living and stop being vibrant, but rather keep going as you get older. And no one wants to be stuck in a home or unable to get out and about. And that really is something that AARP wants to fight. So being active and being able to be active is a big initiative for us here in Brownsville, because we want our grandparents and our parents and ourselves to be able to move around well as we get older. And
speaking of moving around well, CycloBia, we've closed off the street. We have a 1.6 mile route. This event has really put Brownsville on a national pedestal, if you will, in terms of putting on these types of events. What are you hearing from as you travel the country?
Well, we've now had more CycloVias than any other city in Texas, and that's a huge accomplishment considering we're not the wealthiest city in the state. And we've proven that you don't need to be the wealthiest city to be able to gather partners and get them to work effectively and efficiently to provide an open streets program like this. That's been noticed by those at the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation and 8 to 80 Cities, who are trying to bring CycloVia and open streets to many cities in the United States, because it's been proven effective to reduce childhood obesity, as well as all of the other things that we've already talked about. So we've been chosen as one of their champions to represent what we've done here. And so we've been able to travel to Guadalajara and other cities, along with experts in the National Parks and Recreation Association and AARP and others, to share what we've learned and learn from them.
Well, it's going to be interesting as we move forward and learn even more about how CycloBia is changing not only the quality of life here in Brownsville, but how we're going to contribute to the larger picture of health and wellness across the United States.
I think so. I think we'll see some of them coming here to learn from us as well.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And we are going to go check out how to rent a bike, and we will be back shortly.
Hi, my name is Rose Timmer. I'm the Executive Director for Healthy Communities of Brownsville, And today at CycloBia 2015 here on Morrison Road, we are lending out bikes to the community. All you have to do is bring in a valid driver's license and a credit card, and we will hold that while you do a 2-hour tour of the route that we have. It's going real well. At about 1.5 hours into the event, we actually ran out of bikes. We have bikes for tykes and bikes for adults. We don't have three-wheelers, but we have plenty of bikes for all sizes of all adults. These bikes were actually provided as a donation by a lot of different merchants. Our director, Art Rodriguez, put out a call for bikes, and we've received 160 bikes. The bikes for tykes, there's I think 60 of those bikes came through a grant that was written by Brownsville Community Health Organization, and we still have those bikes. And then we have some that were donated by different merchants. Come and enjoy yourself.
Brownsville's seen a lot of change in terms of multimodal transportation and the bike scene in general. Joining us to talk a little bit about that is Eva Garcia. Eva is a planner with the City of Brownsville. Eva, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk a little bit about the changes in Brownsville that we've seen. We have the first bike barn south of San Antonio.
Right.
What is the bike barn?
The Bike Barn is Earn a Bike program where anybody of any age can come and volunteer 25 hours to earn a bike. And what we have them doing is learning about bike mechanics, repairs. They work in a community garden, and they also can volunteer here at city events, and that earns them credit to take a bike home, which are donated by the public. And the Bike Barn is under the Parks Department, but it is run 100% by volunteers.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And a recent poll stated that 97% of attendees support the installation of designated bike lanes. We have a new bike lane on 6th Street.
That's correct. The 6th Street project is a complete streets project. What we've done is eliminated one of the vehicular lanes to make space for a wider sidewalk for pedestrians that bike to school or around the Midi Cultural District. And we've also added a bike lane, which allows people to travel into the downtown area through there.
And we also see along that area bike repair stations. There's one in front of the Fine Arts Museum.
Right. There's currently 2 public bike repair stations in Brownsville, and one is along the Belden Trail at Sunrise Rotary Park, or also known as Prax Orive Jr. Park, and the other one is at Linear Park right in front of the Brownsville Museum of Fine Arts. And those public bike repair stations were part of a local School of Public Health and Health Department grant.
And we have bike racks in different parts of the city. The latest one is in front of HEB on 10th Street near Elizabeth.
Right, the bike corral that you see in front of the HEB in downtown is part of that same grant through the School of Public Health and the City of Brownsville Health Department. You'll also see new bike racks at Market Square. Those were funded by a People for Bikes grant. And you'll also see the library's bike racks, which have been up for a while, and that's part of the City of Brownsville Design a Bike Rack competition that we had a couple years ago.
And who designed those bike racks?
The public was invited to come up with what kind of bike racks they would like to see. So it's not just a functional bike rack, it's also a public art piece.
And you're a big cyclist. I believe you've spent vacations traveling different countries. Tell us what makes the bike community so special?
I think what makes the bike community so special is you see wherever you're going, whether it's in Brownsville or on the island or in another country or another state, you get to see the city differently. I've biked in Denver, I've biked in Pittsburgh, I biked in Ecuador, and you just sort of see more of the building, the architecture. You get to talk to the people. You stop at a restaurant or a coffee shop that you might have not seen if you were driving by. And as to where if you're in a car, you're like, well, where do I park and how do I get in and how do I get out? When you're on a bike, you're sort of like, well, I can get off my bike and walk into an area, or I can stop and lock my bike up and just check out this historic church or this historic building, and it just allows you to see a place differently.
That's a very good point, that you see your city differently. Right. Do you think that it makes you appreciate the city more?
Yeah, you definitely appreciate the little things. You sort of know like what areas have sidewalks, what areas are gonna have bike lanes, where do you see a bus stop, things that that I've never noticed before in a car. And yeah, you notice the dry cleaner, so you're like, oh, I'm gonna come back here later and spend my money here. Oh, I see, the coffee shop or the library or the bookstore. I'm gonna come back here later and spend money, spend time. And you appreciate all the little local businesses and also the chains. I mean, it's just, you're more aware of what's available to you.
Now, you are a planner with the city, and that means what it sounds like, planning the city.
Yes.
Do you think that your viewpoint is different than maybe some of your older counterparts who didn't cycle as much as you do? Is cycling at top of mind when you're planning city streets?
It definitely is. You do become more aware of this complete streets concept, where you want infrastructure not just for vehicles. I'm not just a transportation planner thinking about how many cars can I get through an area. I'm thinking about the people that walk on the grass, and there's what we call desire lines that say people are walking this space, why isn't there a sidewalk? Now let's plan and build for this sidewalk. And it's something that you overlook when you're just thinking about cars. So I'm not sure about what my older counterparts think who aren't cycling, but I think that it does bring a different perspective when you have a cyclist who's planning infrastructure. You're not thinking about just the motorists, you're thinking about all the other people who use public transportation, who walk, who bike, who skateboard. I mean, you see it all, and it's really exciting to see and know that everybody does things differently and not everyone does things the way you do things.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely an exciting time in Brownsville as we see the changes in multimodal transit. So thank you, Eva, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And we'll be back in just a moment. We're back with Lisa Bennett Mitchell, Senior Research Associate for the School of Public Health with the University of Texas. Lisa, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
The School of Public Health has done a lot of research into the health of Brownsville. Tell us, what have you found?
Well, unfortunately, we've found some pretty grim statistics about our population. Over 70% of the population is either overweight or obese, so now that's the majority of our neighbors and friends and family members. And we know that this is very costly for our community, both in terms of quality of life, but also in terms of economics, because people who are overweight and obese tend to have more chronic diseases like diabetes and cardiovascular disease, and we know this disables people at a younger age. They are missing more work, they're unable to care for their families, and so it really has a huge negative impact on our community, which is why initiatives like CycloBia and our work with the city is just so crucial, because we really want to encourage health.
And so what causes all of these things? I mean, it's a sedentary lifestyle. Is it the diet that we eat?
It's really a lot of different factors. It's the environment that we live in, as you know, both the food options and our lifestyles, sedentary in terms of our work and our screen time, but also in terms of our transportation, which in the old days we used to walk and we used to ride to get places, and kids used to play outside when they came home from school for hours on end. I remember my mom calling me in at dark, and so we just are limited in terms of our ability to find time to be active, and a healthy choice is not an easy choice in our culture and society. So it's an environmental design, it's some of the policies in terms of our education, and it's just also the culture that we've kind of created where it's not easy.
And so how did the School of Public Health get involved with CycloBia?
So probably for the last 8 to 10 years, we've been partnering with the city on many initiatives, including the challenge, formerly the Brownsville Biggest Loser Challenge. And we're really just looking for ways to help support the efforts of the city and now of other cities in our county as well, to create policies, to change our environment, to change our culture. And so CycloBia is a great way to, I think someone said earlier, kind of sneak in healthy living without people even knowing it. We want people to enjoy their physical activity. We want them to have fun as a family, to get to know their neighbors and their community, to spend more money locally, which is what they do when they're on bikes or walking. And so it's just a win-win all around, and we want to support the efforts of the city.
Well, and I also think that it probably helps younger children develop their social skills, because we spend so much time on our electronic devices that we don't actually talk to one another anymore.
It's amazing when you get your kids out on a bike or a scooter or even just walking, you know, what the conversation that takes place and the things that you notice and the teaching moments and the opportunities for learning. And so it's really just the way our bodies are designed to move. They're not designed to sit and stare at a screen. And so this is just another great way to get people out and active.
So this is sort of a whole well-rounded approach to health, mental, physical, all of those things, and economically, it's wonderful. And you all have done some surveys also about what have you learned from the people that have attended CycloBia?
So we have done quite a few surveys, both at the events, and now we're moving into surveying the neighborhoods. Because CycloBia is now moving to different neighborhoods in the city, we are now doing some surveys with the neighborhoods prior to the event, and then we will do some surveys post-event so that we can really learn what the impact, both economically, but also on the neighborhood and on the neighbors that are part of the event. So some of the surveys that we've done at the previous events have shown us that people are more physically active during the CycloBia than they would be on a regular Sunday afternoon, which is usually when we have them, or whatever time the event is. We've also learned that they become more physically active as a habit and are more likely to use a bicycle as transportation after participating in a CycloBia, which is great. There are some people who really hadn't been on a bike for years, and the opportunity of having the free bike rentals and activities for the kids has allowed people to try out cycling and realize, wow, I can actually ride a few blocks to get to my destination. I don't always have to, or I can walk. I don't always have to get in the car.
And are you learning things from the attendees that are being incorporated into CycloBia?
Definitely feedback on the types of activities that we have. We're learning that we want to target all age groups, not just little kids, but teenagers and older adults. We've learned location, length, the time of day, schedule, everything. So it's really great to have that constant feedback.
Well, thank you, Lisa, for joining us. We're looking forward to seeing those numbers of obesity and diabetes going down.
We are too, and I'm just excited to get on my bike with my kids and have fun today.
Thank you so much.
One of the assistant city managers for the city of Brownsville. I'm here today at our first CycloBia to You event on Morrison Road. I think this is a great route. I'm actually from this neighborhood, moved out as I got older, so along the route I've been saying hi to old neighbors and old friends, which is the best part of this type of event, is connecting with the community, especially as those citizens you haven't seen in a while. This is a very important event because this is actually what we called a bright idea as part of being a Playful USA with Kaboom. And we were able to pitch this CycloBia to You idea in Baltimore with several other cities that were designated Playful City USA. And we pitched this, they thought it was a fantastic idea, and so we're here today to show them that this was in fact a great idea for Brownsville.
I think it's really great that we started it here in District 3. I can see just from here that Pablo Quisel is operating smoothly, traffic is going, and the kids and the families feel very comfortable playing right here on Morrison. And you're walking distance from homes back here, and you're also walking distance from the country club and everywhere else. So I really do enjoy this event. We had a great turnout today, and I hope that we can continue to recreate this in all the other districts of Brownsville so that everyone can have CycloBia come to them.
This is our first time here and we are enjoying our day.
I loved it. It's a lot of fun for the kids.
Oh, it's wonderful. We're out here, the whole family's here. Mom, brother, sister-in-law, kids, everybody. So yeah, we're having a great time.
Thanks for watching. We hope you make it out to the next CycloBia, coming to a neighborhood near you soon. And even if you don't ride, you can still take part in all of these wonderful activities that are going on. I'm Patty Gonzalez for Brownsville.tv.